Hello again. It is undeniably true that there are fewer successful black entrepreneurs than there are white ones or those of Indian heritage. It's also the case that there are fewer black doctors and solicitors than there are white ones or those whose family origins lie in South Asia. By this I mean, of course, that there are proportionally less, to use the modern expression. The numbers of successful business people and professionals who are black do not reflect the population. So far, I've said nothing controversial. I'm merely stating an accepted fact. In the description to this video, I give a link to a piece from the Guardian newspaper written by a black woman called Gemma Cairnley. She was, it seemed, involved in setting up a production company connected with music called Boom Shakalaka, which has now folded up. It is the reason for this closure which I find intriguing. We are told that post-colonial fallout is written into the DNA of so much of the way the UK works. This is especially evident in sectors producing popular culture. I don't really understand what this means at all, or how it's connected with the business collapsing. She continues as follows though, and I feel this deserves to be quoted at some length. From the moment you walk into the buildings where some of the biggest creative ideas are incubated, you notice the lesser paid and manual labour jobs from reception to cleaning staff being done by people of colour. Meanwhile, the top tier bosses, those who get the final say on how to distribute the funds that make content happen, are so often white and male. At Boom Shakalaka, we found the hoop jumping and box ticking of the commissioning processes, funding and awards exhausting. We grew frustrated by the unwillingness to invest the money it takes to make a truly diverse industry. So much of our time was spent working out complex systems or the random protocol of putting ideas forward to different networks and platforms, navigating a matrix of gatekeepers and relentlessly adapting pitches to suit them. Feedback sometimes felt patronising, then would come the chasing and nudging on emails, sometimes not to hear anything back at all. Right here is the problem, you see, because all this is what everybody of any colour experiences when they are hustling for funding or trying to find investors. I've had a lot of experience of this kind of thing myself as a trustee of different charities. The hoop jumping and box ticking of commissioning processes, funding and awards is indeed exhausting, and very often you don't get the money you want. Emails are ignored, and you do encounter a matrix of gatekeepers and have to relentlessly adapt pitches to satisfy them. All this is perfectly true, and I wouldn't argue with a single word of it. It can be soul-destroying. That too is true. But all this has nothing at all to do with skin colour or gender. It is the same for white men as it is for black women. 99.9% of all pitches for anything at all in any field are destined to fail. That's simply the way of the world. There is nothing in that article that is specific to black women. It is rather the nature of the game when you're out trying to get money from people. It is precisely the same if you're pitching a book to a publisher. 99% of the time this is going to end in failure. More than 99% of the time. It's what you do after that failure that counts. In other words, those who succeed are very often not the best, whether they're trying to get a book published or persuading someone to finance their music business. It doesn't mean the ones that get somewhere ultimately are not the best authors or the best musicians or the best music directors. Those who eventually succeed tend to be the ones who keep at it remorselessly and do not stop after the first dozen or 100 failures. Since there are so more white people in this country than there are black ones, it stands to reason that the 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 10,000 who are successful in either getting funding for a charity, having a book published or getting a business off the ground would equate to far more white people than black. It's simply a statistical artifact. I do not believe for a moment that racial prejudice or misogyny is at the heart of any lack of success. What might be relevant, perhaps, is that a higher proportion of black people might be trying to get a company launched that is concerned with the music business, and this might serve to make the competition a little stiffer in that field than if some of them were trying to, I don't know, start shops selling rare books or launch a farm, say. Getting money from anybody these days is enormously hard work, and the ones who do get somewhere are often those with an original idea and who keep on trying for years on end. I think ethnicity in this case is a red herring.